We live in a world that glorifies hustle, constant action, constant doing, constant chasing. But what if everything you've been taught about manifestation has been upside down? What if the very act of pursuing your desires with urgency is the very thing keeping them out of reach? In the realm of quantum manifestation, striving doesn't magnetize, it repels. Reality on the quantum level doesn't follow a straight line. It doesn't bend to force or urgency. It responds only to resonance. And resonance begins the moment your inner state aligns with the life you claim to want. Here's the disconnect. Most people visualize abundance while vibrating with lack. They imagine love while radiating loneliness. They affirm freedom while embodying fear. The quantum field doesn't respond to the words or the rituals. It mirrors the energy underneath them. And here's the shift no one talks about. Manifestation doesn't arrive because you asked. It arrives because you became. In quantum language, the field of infinite potential is moved not by effort, but by coherence. That means your role isn't to push harder, but to tune in. To stop chasing and instead become the frequency of what you desire. This is where so many people get stuck. They hear lines like, act as if it's already done, or be in the vibration of having. But it feels hollow, out of reach. That's because they've missed the paradox. Allowing is what attracts. The energy of trust draws things in. The energy of urgency keeps them away. Even quantum mechanics reflects this. The observer effect shows us that the act of observation influences reality, but only when the observation carries expectancy, not desperation. When you look at life through trust and knowing, the wave collapses into form. When you look through fear and urgency, it stays a possibility, never a reality. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you want to hear music playing on 98.7 FM but your dial is stuck on 88.1, it doesn't matter how much you crave it. You won't hear it until you tune yourself to the right frequency. That's what manifestation really is. Not pleading with the universe to deliver, but aligning yourself to the station where your desired life is already playing. This is where ancient wisdom and modern science meet. Neville Goddard spoke about living from the end, embodying the emotional signature of your outcome. Joe Dispenza teaches that heart and brain coherence sends a unified signal into the quantum field. Abraham Hicks calls it entering the vortex, that state where resistance dissolves and receiving begins. Here's the hidden truth. Simplicity unsettles the ego. We've been conditioned to believe that real change must be hard, that growth requires struggle, and that success only comes through relentless effort. But in the quantum world, the opposite is true. The more you chase, the more you affirm the lack. The harder you force, the more resistance you create. That's why this message is so often overlooked, because simplicity doesn't sell. It isn't flashy, dramatic, or complicated. But simplicity is where the shift begins. Quantum manifestation is not about effort. It's about alignment. In the next sections, we'll dive deeper into how to recalibrate your vibrational signature, how the quantum field mirrors your inner state, and how to finally live as the version of yourself who no longer chases, but attracts. But pause for a moment and sit with this. The life you desire already exists. In quantum theory, every possibility coexists at once. Your role is not to fight your way into it, but to tune into its frequency. Not someday, not when the money appears, not when the relationship arrives. Now. Because the moment you become that vibration, the field responds. Think of your external life as a mirror. Most people try to change the reflection by polishing the surface, visualizing, repeating affirmations, or writing their desires on paper. While those tools can help, they often become mechanical. They adjust the mirror without changing the face looking into it. The deeper truth is this: the field doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you are. And being isn't performance. It's not pretending to feel abundant while secretly panicking over bills. It's not repeating, "I trust the universe," while obsessing over timing. Being means coherence. It means your inner state and the reality you seek are in harmony. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains it beautifully. Your thoughts are electric, and your emotions are magnetic. Together, they form an electromagnetic signature, a frequency you broadcast into the quantum field. That field, alive with infinite possibilities, reorganizes itself according to your signal. Not based on what you wish for, but on the truth of what you embody. Let's break this down with an example. Suppose you long for financial freedom. If you're constantly anxious, refreshing your bank account, and rehearsing worst-case scenarios, your signal isn't abundance. It's scarcity. And scarcity doesn't call in wealth. It only multiplies itself. The field isn't judging you. It simply echoes the broadcast you're sending. Here's the shift. The fastest way to change your signal isn't to chase the future, but to embody it now. To practice the frequency of your desired reality until it feels natural. Not as a fantasy, but as a remembrance. Because somewhere in the infinite field of possibilities, that version of you already exists. And when your emotions and thoughts align with that version, the field begins to fold it into form. This isn't wishful thinking, it's science. Neuroplasticity proves that the brain rewires itself through mental rehearsal. When you imagine your desired future and feel the emotion of it, gratitude, joy, peace, your brain fires the circuits as if it's happening in real time. Repeat it often enough. Your body learns that future before it arrives. And when your body believes, the quantum field responds. Neville Goddard captured this decades ago when he said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." He wasn't asking you to fake it, he was urging you to fuse with it. To let the feeling of your desired reality grow more real than your present conditions, until your nervous system calibrates to it like a tuning fork. This is the secret most people miss. Manifestation isn't about pleading with the universe. It's about meeting the version of yourself who already has what you seek and embodying them here and now. Not through effort, but through resonance. And when that resonance stabilizes, the field has no choice but to mirror it back as experience. That's the moment when you stop waiting for signs and instead become the sign. When you stop hoping for synchronicities and instead live in sync. That's when reality bends. That's when timelines collapse. That's when life aligns. Not because of luck, but because coherence always finds expression. Quantum mechanics reveals this through the observer effect. Observation collapses possibility into reality. But not all observation carries the same weight. Observation infused with trust, clarity, and emotional certainty has far more power than observation laced with fear or doubt. So pause and ask yourself, what reality are you continuously observing within? When people say, act as if, it's not about pretending or forcing confidence. It's about stepping into the emotional posture of someone who already knows. Someone who isn't waiting for proof, but who lives as the proof before the evidence arrives. That's how you master your frequency. And when you do, you don't just attract reality. You become the gravity that pulls it toward you. Now that we've uncovered the truth, that the quantum field doesn't give you what you want, but what you are, the question becomes, How do you collapse a possibility into form? Quantum physics shows us that every potential reality already exists in a state of superposition. Your ideal relationship, your dream career, your financial breakthrough. They are not distant wishes. They are present possibilities waiting for your observation to choose them. But here's the key. Thinking about them isn't enough. They become real when your focused awareness collapses the wave into reality. And not just any observation will do. This isn't about passive daydreaming. The field responds to observation infused with belief, trust, and emotional embodiment. When you feel your future as if it's already real, you impress that version into the unified field. You don't chase it. You stabilize it. And when you stabilize it, life organizes around you. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that this requires coherence, a harmony between brain and heart. Yet most people live in the opposite, mental noise and emotional contradiction. Their thoughts point to abundance, but their feelings vibrate with lack. Their actions come from fear, not faith. In that state, the field receives a scrambled signal and reflects nothing clearly back. But when the brain and heart align, your signal sharpens. You stop sending mixed messages. You begin radiating the frequency of trust, gratitude, and certainty, the unmistakable signature of someone who already is the version they once hoped to become. Let's step into biology for a moment. Every emotion triggers a chemical cascade in the body. Gratitude releases dopamine and oxytocin. Trust elevates serotonin. These aren't just pleasant sensations. They shift your entire physiology. And your state becomes your point of attraction. When you can generate these emotions without waiting for outside proof, you reclaim your creative authority. You stop reacting to life and instead begin instructing it. Neville Goddard captured this power when he said, "Your assumptions harden into facts." What he meant is simple but profound. The emotional assumptions you hold consistently create a gravitational field strong enough to rearrange your external world. The outer always mirrors the inner. This isn't philosophy. It's physics, confirmed by the observer effect and principles of coherence. The observer effect tells us that what you repeatedly focus on doesn't just expand, it transforms. You're not just watching reality unfold. You're sculpting it moment by moment through your attention, your emotions, and your choices. But here's the challenge: maintaining it. Many people can hold the frequency briefly in meditation or journaling, but then slip back into worry, distraction, and doubt. That's like planting a seed and digging it up every day to check if it's growing. The growth isn't missing, it's interrupted. Manifestation doesn't require perfection, but it does require energetic consistency. It means returning, again and again, to the identity of the one who already has what they desire, not just in thought, but in feeling, in action, and in the smallest behaviors. Walk as if, speak as if, breathe as if, decide as if. Every small act of alignment compounds, and each moment you choose coherence over fear, presence over distraction, you strengthen the quantum imprint of your new reality. Here's where the journey gets exciting. Once your vibration stabilizes, reality begins to move. What many call synchronicity appears. Doors opening at the right moment, strangers offering guidance, clarity arriving out of nowhere, opportunities landing without effort. This isn't luck. It's not magic. It's the quantum field reorganizing itself around the frequency you've chosen. You'll know collapse is near when you feel it deep in your body, not as impatience or anticipation, but as certainty. A calm knowing, a quiet inevitability. That's the moment when you no longer ask, "When will it happen?" Instead, you feel, it's already mine. At that point, you've shifted from wishful dreaming to energetic authorship. You've crossed from possibility into embodiment. And the change is not only in what happens outside of you, but in how you see it. You no longer crave validation because your frequency itself is the evidence. You've collapsed the wave. The life you once imagined has begun imagining you back. Living from the end, not toward it, is where manifestation becomes real. But this is also where most people struggle. Not because they lack belief, but because they don't know how to become the version they desire. They try to think their way into a new life without feeling it. They hope while repeating the same old emotional patterns. And the field doesn't respond to hope. It responds to energetic certainty. Quantum manifestation isn't about repeating positive thoughts until the universe delivers. It's about becoming the frequency of the reality you want to enter. That timeline already exists. You're not building it, you're selecting it. You tune into it by matching its broadcast. How do you know you're aligned? You stop obsessing over the details. You stop chasing proof or signs. You stop giving your energy away to urgency. Instead, you find yourself less reactive, more centered, and more tuned in to the inner calibration guiding you forward. Abraham Hicks puts it simply, you can't get there from there. In other words, you cannot manifest freedom from the energy of fear. You cannot create peace from a place of chaos. You must feel the reality first, act from it, breathe from it, long before it appears. And when you do, something extraordinary happens. Thoughts begin to shift, not the ones you force, but the ones that naturally belong to your future self. Intuition sharpens, paths reveal themselves, coincidences multiply, time bends, reality feels lighter, more fluid, as if life itself is racing to meet you. Joe Dispenza explains that when you move into elevated states, gratitude, awe, love, your brain and heart enter gamma coherence. In this state, your entire nervous system becomes receptive to new patterns. Your field turns magnetic. Manifestation becomes less about effort, more about flow. Because you've stopped being the seeker and started being the channel through which reality arrives. And this is the essence of it. Stop chasing. Start attracting. It's not about struggle. It's about calibration. Think back to moments in your life when everything clicked, when opportunities landed with perfect timing, when someone spoke the exact words you needed to hear, when life lined up effortlessly. That was the field responding to your alignment. And that alignment is always available. It just waits for you to embody it. Now imagine this. What if you could live in that state by choice, not chance? That's exactly what this journey is about. And if these words are finding you right now, it isn't random. It means your subconscious is ready. Perhaps you've felt like your manifestations take too long. Maybe you've wondered if something is blocking them, or feared you're doing it wrong. But here's the truth. You've always been closer than you realized. The fact that you're hearing this now is proof that your field is already preparing to shift. You're not broken. You're not behind. You don't need to chase. What you need is to stabilize the version of yourself who no longer seeks, but already knows. The one who moves with calm certainty. The one whose magnetism doesn't come from effort, but from presence. That version already exists, and every time you remember it, you collapse the distance between where you are and where you long to be. So let this moment be the turning point. The moment you stop trying and start remembering. The moment you embody the self who already lives the reality you desire. Consider this your quantum event, the shift from waiting to becoming. And to anchor this shift, here's something powerful. If this message resonates, type 777 in the comments. Why 777? Because in spiritual traditions, it symbolizes alignment, your higher path unfolding exactly as it should. When you type it, you're not just engaging, you're activating. You're declaring coherence. You're sending a signal not only for yourself, but amplifying resonance for everyone here. That's how the field works. Energy multiplies when shared. Think of it this way. The version of your life you've been waiting for isn't far away. It's vibrationally right next to you. You don't need to leap into it. You simply need to stop identifying with the reality you've outgrown. This is what Neville Goddard meant when he said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." He wasn't speaking about wishful thinking. He was pointing to the sacred science of self-selection. You're not asking life for permission. You're declaring, "This is who I am now." And the field, precise as ever, reflects accordingly. But here's the catch. You can't fake it. You can't speak affirmations from a place of fear and expect them to work. You can't sit in meditation clinging to the old reality you're trying to leave behind. The quantum field responds only to your true vibration. That's where your power lives. So how do you step into that power? By practicing coherence. By returning, again and again, to alignment. Not as a one-time ritual, but as a way of being. You speak differently. You walk differently. You treat yourself and others as though you already are that version. And soon, it won't feel like pretending. It will feel like living. This is the true code of manifestation. It isn't complicated. It isn't dramatic. It's simple. So simple that the mind addicted to effort overlooks it. But that simplicity is your secret key. The more you release the need to force reality, the more reality bends to your alignment. And here's the most important part. Manifestations don't always arrive with fireworks. They often slip in quietly, through a breath of relief, a sudden sense of peace, an inner knowing. The universe whispers when it delivers what you've already claimed. So let me ask you, what if the change you've been waiting for has been waiting for you to stop waiting? What if your next timeline is already here, just watching for the moment you send the signal, "I'm ready"? If this resonates, share your experience, your intention, or your affirmation in the comments below. Let this space become more than a video. Let it be a field of resonance. Because as you'll notice, you're not alone. We are a wave, a movement, a collective coherence, and your alignment strengthens the whole. If this message awakened something in you, subscribe and stay connected. This channel is not just about content, it's about community, a sanctuary for those who know the universe is listening, for those ready to embody what they've been calling in. Remember this: you are not learning how to manifest. You are remembering the truth of who you are. You are not becoming powerful, you already are. And the moment you stop chasing and start aligning, manifestation becomes effortless, and that's when it becomes magical.